McLaren has once again shown their dominance at Monza. Although they didn't secure a 1-2 finish, they're now only 8 points behind Red Bull in the Constructors Championship and 62 points behind Verstappen, thanks to Norris. This has made Red Bull a bit nervous. Helmut Marko has even called for the FIA to check McLaren's front wing, suggesting it might be giving them an unfair advantage. But with recent comments from Verstappen and Horner, one has to wonder if Red Bull's performance drop is real or if they're just grasping at straws to keep their top spot. McLaren's recent strong performance has been surprising. The only reason they aren't leading the Constructors' Championship and aren't closer to Verstappen in the drivers' standings is due to poor strategy and a shaky start in the first 5 races. Everything turned around for them in Miami. Since then, they've been on the podium in every race and won in Miami, Hungary and Zandvoort. They almost clinched a win at Monza too, if not for Leclerc's amazing tyre management. Despite that, McLaren still managed to cut significantly into Red Bull's lead in both championships. Senior figures in the Austrian team, like Helmut Marko, don't take this matter lightly. Marko emphasised that the front wings of McLaren and Mercedes need a thorough investigation by the FIA. On the other hand, Verstappen and Horner believe their own team, Red Bull, has work to do. However, they insist Red Bull won't rest until the FIA tests these front wings and declares them legal. In the past, such checks have been done and the governing body has found nothing illegal. Yet from certain angles, when the MCL38 and W15 hit the curbs, their front wings appear more flexible than Red Bull's. Despite this, Marko's comments have stirred up some drama in the sport. He linked his concerns to an earlier remark by Christian Horner, who noted the unusual performance gains among competitors, suggesting that the front wings are being used differently. If you check out the front wings on the McLaren and Mercedes cars, you'll notice they look really different from each other and from the other race cars. Helmut Marko, part of the Red Bull team, mentioned that they need to study the front wings of these two teams. He also pointed out that Red Bull's struggles might have been less serious if Adrian Newey, their star designer, had stayed involved. Newey had flagged some major problems with the car's cooling system before he left. Since announcing his departure effective from 2025, the team's performance has noticeably declined. It's uncertain whether it's just a coincidence or part of Red Bull's fate, but regarding the team, Marko mentioned that Newey isn't as involved in car development as before. His expertise could have been really useful now. The impressive performance of the MCL38 has made it harder for other teams, including Red Bull, to keep up. Despite their dominance, winning 21 out of 22 races, improving their car for 2024 has proven to be a significant challenge. It seems they've hit a limit they can't easily surpass in a few months. Verstappen has been pushing for improvements, but his frustration is clear. He's even hinted that they might not win any more races this season due to their lack of competitiveness. This could point to deeper issues with their car rather than the advancements made by McLaren and Mercedes. Speaking about the RB20, Verstappen shared that the team created a beast out of their 2023 model, so much so that they might need to practically design a new car to meet their goals. The Monza GP, which was expected to favour the RB20 due to its lower drag, has surprisingly not gone Red Bull's way. The MCL38, troubled by drag all season, seemed ready for a tough race but turned out otherwise. The team's 3-time world champion pointed fingers at Adrian Newey's departure, hinting it might have led to the team's struggles. Verstappen expressed his thoughts, saying, "I always wished Adrian would stay, but that's not the issue now. Last year we had an amazingly dominant car and we're struggling to get that edge back. We need to fix this no matter how long it takes. Hard work and dedication are key, no excuses." Team boss Christian Horner hasn't been any more optimistic. He admitted feeling down about the car's development in recent months. Reflecting on the RB20's performance after analysing data from the Zandvoort race, he mentioned, "We tested an older version at Zandvoort to see if it could solve any of our problems. The fact is, we're still dealing with the same handling problems, which gives us a ton of data to work through, but also a lot to figure out. We need to fix this fast because McLaren has made big improvements in the last few races. At Monza, we were trailing behind Ferrari and Mercedes. Oddly enough, Red Bull now has to hope Ferrari and Mercedes make big strides because that's the only way they can take points away from Norris in the Drivers' Championship. The fight for the Constructors' Championship is almost lost since the two teams are just 8 points apart. The RB20's balance seems so off that Red Bull might struggle even more in the next races in Baku and Singapore to defend in both championships. They can't rely on Norris messing up the starts and getting into close races with his teammate Piastri. Interestingly, Piastri and Leclerc are closer to Norris in points than Norris is to Verstappen. With 8 races left and 3 sprint events, it's worth discussing if Norris is truly ready to be the next world champion. Even Max's dad, Jos, admitted that all of this mess could have been avoided. The team finally figured out their issues, but only after the problems became too obvious to ignore. They failed to tackle these issues early in the season when Max was effortlessly winning races. So blaming McLaren for some supposed illegal activity doesn't really hold up, especially when your own star driver had already pointed out the internal problems months before they blew up. Max Verstappen himself painted a bleak picture for the rest of 2024. In an interview, the Dutch racer said that Monza was just another disastrous race. Nothing was working, the car was all over the place, I hated the strategy, and the pit stop was a total disaster, he said. We had to drive slower than usual, and honestly it felt like everything just went south. The track didn't really matter, yet we still pushed to give our best performance. However, with our 2 pit stops we just couldn't pull it off. We struggled with both hard and medium tyres. The car was simply too slow. At this rate, winning more races seems out of reach, but that's the reality we're facing. This whole situation suggests that Max Verstappen and his team should probably concentrate on improving their car instead of blaming the other teams. Even though it's pretty tough for Red Bull to be in such a tricky spot compared to their strong start, focusing on their own issues might be their best way out of this mess. The team now has to make changes to their car, a point that Horner made clear to Wolfeth during a tense exchange that Dominic Calli also witnessed. Mercedes has already revamped their car, but whether Red Bull will do the same is still up in the air. There's also a big concern about Verstappen's future with the team. He shared all his feedback with the engineers during Zoom meetings, but he's not satisfied with the car. If things don't improve, could this mean the end of Verstappen's time with Red Bull? And if he does leave, where do you think the 3-time world champion will go next? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.